The World Junior Championships are coming up fast, and on today's show, we'll be entering in our lineup and line predictions for Team USA. From high-scoring forwards to heavy defensive defensemen, we're covering all the different player types to try to put together a balanced lineup full of all the best players eligible for the Americans.
You are Locked On NHL Prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to Locked On NHL Prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports network out there for podcasts. I'm your host, Sebastian High, the USA scout over at Elite Prospects. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about a bunch of players that I've watched a lot over the course of the past few seasons, as we're going to put together a lineup for Team USA for the World Junior Championships. The rosters have not been announced just yet. When they are, we will be putting out videos on those as well, of course. But for the time being, we're just going to have some fun with the mental exercise to see how many of these predictions end up going well and how many of them will look silly in just a couple of weeks' time. So we've got a lot to dig our teeth into here on today's episode. In the first segment, we'll be looking at the starting forwards, then the second at the starting defensemen, and we'll wrap it up with the netminders and the extras, because the teams can bring a lot more players than you would ice in an NHL game, for instance. You can bring an extra 2 forwards and 2 defensemen. So we'll talk about all those extra players as well who just about make the cut for Team USA alongside the netminders in the final segment. So we've got a lot to look forward to. But before we dive into the show here, today's episode is brought to you by today's sponsor, FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So Team USA is going to be a fascinating one to watch at the tournament this year. They have a lot of talent, and they have some really nice pieces, I think, up and down the lineup in different roles, different profiles, different positions that will be able to be super impactful for this team and potentially make them competitors at the tournament. I don't think it's the strongest Team USA that we've seen in the past couple years. I definitely think that we've seen some stronger lineups as a whole in years past, but at the same time, there is certainly enough skill in this lineup to really challenge for a podium position and maybe even for the gold medal at the end of the day, because you have players like James Hagens who can just break games open completely. So lots to look forward to with this lineup. And of course, James Hagens is there on that top line. And in terms of being able to replicate last year's gold medal championship, and of course Hagens was on that team, I think he's going to have to show a level of elite skill that hasn't been on display yet this season. It will be at some point, hopefully, and it would be wonderful that happened here at the World Juniors on such a massive stage. But yeah, James Hagens is going to be the centerpiece of driving the offense, of leading the rush. He's going to be the most dynamic player with the puck on his stick among forwards at the very least. And he's going to have some really strong line mates to kind of bolster him as well. And I have him playing with Teddy Stiga and Brody Ziemer. Teddy Stiga brings so much speed, a lot of playmaking and line driving and defensive support from left wing, while Brody Ziemer is a leader through and through. He was the captain for the NTDP in his draft year, and he has a real clutch attitude. He shows up when it matters most, and with a very engaged physical game, defensively involved, good shot in the offensive zone to finish chances. I think he'll be able to really elevate his game alongside the likes of Hagens and Stiga, who, of course, have been able to build some very nice chemistry over the course of their years together in the NTDP and as well at Boston College. And with those two guys alongside Brody Zemer, I think you have a pretty good top line. It's pretty balanced. You have a bit of a power element with Zemer. You have pure speed and pace with Stiga and of course James Hagens as well, and a decent balance as well between playmaking and goal scoring. I think those three guys will just tick on the line together. And for the second line, I'm going with Cole Eiserman, to no surprise, alongside Will Horkoff and Riker Lee. I have Trevor Connolly down the third line, which might surprise some people, but I think Cole Eiserman, I mean, he's going to be the trigger man on this team, first power play unit, scoring force, and at even strength. I'd love to see a little bit more on the defensive side of the puck with Eiserman still. There's definitely still inconsistencies in his game that have led to frustration for people that have watched him very closely for quite some time now. But he's definitely among the most skilled finishers that are going to be present at this tournament, and is an early favorite for that scoring award at tournaments end to score the most goals there. But I think playing with a guy like Will Horkoff will do a lot of good for Cole Eiserman. Horkoff is a big, intelligent centerman. He's able to play the net front really well. Strong screen, good hand-eye coordination around the net front, so he can definitely take care of that role on his line, while also being potentially an F1 as well when he needs to be to really apply pressure, have that disruptive stick, create turnovers, but more than anything, I think with Will Horkoff, what you get is a guy that's very versatile, but more than anything, just intelligent. This is a player that I think can really come out with some highly, highly intelligent passes to connect play between his line mates. He's able to find really tight seams, especially like more subtle passes, even just in the breakout or in the neutral zone. Not necessarily the final pass for a primary assist, but he's able to slip pucks through skates, really has times those passes really well. And I think that Will Horkoff, with that combination of physicality, intelligence, playmaking upside, and a very competent shot on top of it, will be a player that'll give Cole Eiserman a bit of time and space to breathe off puck in the offensive zone, even just at even strength. And a player like Riker Lee, with his elite level handling ability, will be able to also just stretch defenses, have a bit of a gravitational pull, take on that attention, and then pass on the puck to a guy like Cole Eiserman, who may be able to find himself open at the back post. I think those three players together are at similar levels of offensive intelligence, will be able to tick really well as a unit. The question maybe here is there enough defensive kind of insulation? Is Will Horkoff enough to offset the minuses of Cole Eiserman, and to a lesser extent Riker Lee, who is quite physically engaged on the forecheck as well, but the defensive awareness probably still needs some work. But still, those three guys in terms of offensive chemistry, I think, could be off the charts good. Then the third line, we've got Trevor Connolly, Kamil Bednarik, and Max Plant. Max Plant, who's one of the top scorers in college hockey at the moment. Trevor Connolly, who's already made the jump to professional hockey as well, with in the Vegas Golden Knights organization in the AHL with the Henderson Silver Knights. And Connolly's been off to a good start there for sure ever since coming back from injury. Here the past 2 or 3 weeks, he has 6 points in his first 6 games of the season. Only got into 6 games as well with Henderson at the tail end of last year. So Trevor Connolly easily could be a top sixer in this lineup, but I have too much fear having both him and Cole Eiserman on the same line without an elite two-way center to kind of hold them down together. So I split them up. I put Riker Lee up instead to add a bit more of a physical element to that second line. And instead, you have Trevor Connolly with that elite skating ability, the handling skill, the shot from distance, the playmaking flashes, just the pure dynamism and creativity that he is on the ice. You have that on the third line against a weaker competition, and you pair him with one of the smartest players on this lineup in Max Plant, who, again, leading the NCAA scoring charts at the moment alongside his brother Zam. and a player who works hard, strong playmaker, will be able to also just create time and space for guys like Trevor Connolly to operate within. And for center to play with those two, I want some physicality, I want some intensity, I want some defensive focus, and I think Camille Bednarik is just that. You could also throw in Cole McKinney there instead, but I have a feeling that Team USA is going to put the elder statesman in ahead rather than the college freshman. Then for the fourth line, we do have Cole McKinney centering it. And I personally have LJ Mooney and Shane Van Saggy as the two wingers. I think LJ Mooney has enough pop in his step, intensity. I mean, he's rarely outworked in a shift. And I think he's developed his physical game enough to be able to play a fourth line role, but don't be surprised if you see a guy like AJ Spellacy in that slot instead on the fourth line. But I'm a massive fan of LJ Mooney. I think that his handling and skating and dynamism on puck could just break things open. And if you learn any lesson from Team Canada's mistakes last season, it's that you don't overdo it on trying to play hard if you're sacrificing skill for it. And LJ Mooney is one of the more skilled players that Team USA could ice in this type of bottom six spot. And yeah, I think he makes it, but it's pretty close to a 50-50 in my eyes. Maybe he's just a 13th or 14th forward instead, one of the extras. But I'd love to see him getting regular shifts. But alongside him and Cole McKinney, I have Shane Van Saggy because this guy can hit. He is intense. He is mean. He is physical. He is strong. Got a good shot. He's a strong net front presence. He plays the game very directly, the way you want a fourth line to play. I think him and McKinney, you have traditional fourth liners, and then the question is, do you want a full fourth line of those types of players, or do you want to like sprinkle in a little bit more skill and talent to maybe make things happen as well when they're on the ice? But that wraps up this first segment, breaking down the forward core for Team USA. In the next one, we're looking at the defense. But before we do that, we've got a quick message here from our sponsors at Locked On NHL Prospects. All right, let's keep this show rolling here in the second segment as we're breaking down the defensive core in my predictions of the Team USA roster at the World Junior Championships here this season. The top pairing is a confirmation. Barring injury, these are the guys that will be playing the most minutes, almost certainly together, because they played together a lot throughout their careers, and that is Cole Hutson and E.J. Emery, former line mates or pairing mates with the NTDP, who didn't play together as much as they should have in that program. It was really only towards the tail end of the season at the U18 World Championships where Cole Hutson led all skaters in points and was just dominant there for the Americans. He plays best hockey alongside E.J. Emery. So I think those two guys are shoo-ins for the top pair. With Cole Hutson, you have the clear number one defenseman on this lineup. That's where the offense is coming from. That's where the power play quarterbacking is going to be. And I think that Cole Hutson has a chance to be the most dynamic player on this entire roster, including the likes of James Hagens and a guy like E.J. Emery, who is mobile, heavy, physically engaged, and just so defensively meticulous, will be able to offer Cole Hutson so much space to activate in the offensive zone, to take risks, to expose himself a little bit for the benefit of creating offense, and EJ Emery can just be a sweeper there in the back. Then for the second pairing, I'm going with Luke Osborne, Buffalo Sabres draft pick, who I've always liked in his years in the USHL while he was playing with the Youngstown Phantoms. He was the captain there last season, and he's now made a really good start at the college level, and following a really strong World Junior Summer Showcase, I think he's going to keep a spot on this lineup and play with Logan Hensler of the Ottawa Senators and the Wisconsin Badgers. And Osborne is a very intelligent two-way puck-moving defenseman. With Hensler, you get all of the tools. I think there's a nice balance between those two players where you have a bit more IQ with Osborne. You definitely have more tools with Hensler. Hensler's a very strong skater. He's physically engaged. He's defensively strong. Has really nice flashes of offensive activations and playmaking down low in the offensive zone and a decent shot from the point. He's really opening up his game to become more of an offensive driver this season with Wisconsin. And it's surprise, surprise, coinciding with Wisconsin playing way better hockey than they have since the Cole Caulfield era. And I think that those two together could be a really nice second pairing while balancing offense and IQ and defensive engagement and physicality. And yeah, I think that those will be the guys. But there's a lot of players, I think, that are around similar levels that will be competing for those minutes. So whatever we see in the lineups on opening night, and I do expect this pairing or at least one of these two guys to be in the top four on opening night, that could shift throughout the tournament depending on performances. And then for the third pairing, I'm going with, I'm doubling down on right shot defensemen here with Blake Fiddler and Adam Kleber, two very different types of right shot defensemen. Blake Fiddler is a fantastic skater, big boy, 6'3", moves like the wind, some really heavy shot from the blue line, dynamic activations in the offensive zone, some playmaking upside. The offensive potential is really intriguing from an NHL standpoint, but against his own age group, it's already really, really strong as well. So I think that having a bit of that depth offense to maybe again, add a bit more diversity to what this blue line can do, and add another guy that can run a power play unit from the blue line will be quite valuable. While Adam Kleber is your shutdown right shot defenseman who's big, heavy, mean, tough to play against, clears a net front, keeps the puck moving quickly, intelligent and simple in his puck touches. He's like EJ Emery. I think I almost like Kleber more, but in terms of chemistry, I think that the pairings work out a bit better this way. But the right shot defenders are just so solid here for the Americans at this tournament. And I think pairing a guy like Kleber, if you do want to play Fiddler, even allowing Fiddler to be on his offside could open up some offensive opportunities, add some defensive challenges, certainly. But having a guy like Kleber would certainly allow Blake Fiddler to explore the offense a bit more at this tournament, which I would personally love to see. Again, we'll talk about the extra pairing, the fourth pairing, in the next segment, as well as the netminders. But before we do that, we've got a quick message here from our sponsors at Locked On NHL Prospects. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. This is certainly my favorite way to play, as it allows me to combine multiple predictions into a single bet in order to maximize my potential returns, and it keeps every single game interesting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's wrap up the show here as we're talking about the goaltenders for the Americans, as well as the extra forwards and defensemen for their roster, or predictions of their roster for the World Junior Championships, which once again are just 3.5 weeks away now. The tournament's coming up so fast. I'm very excited to watch some hockey there during the Christmas break. But in net, this is probably the biggest point of weakness for the Americans. And if they have an Achilles heel, it's probably going to be this. But not to say that they don't have any good options. It's just that they don't have a slam dunk option like they did with Trey Augustine for all those seasons that he was playing. And even having guys like Jacob Fowler as backups. There's been a lot of netminding talent coming out of the States recently. And this is perhaps a little bit of a dip in terms of the quality that American fans may be used to at this tournament. The two favorites to start games are probably going to be Nicholas Kempf and Harrison Bediger. These are two players that I think bring a lot of interesting aspects to the table. Bediger's a draft eligible, so he's younger, but he was playing with the NTDP U18s last year. He was their starting netminder, and he's been playing so well in the WHL this season. He's been an absolute star since arriving in Canada for junior hockey. And his competition, Nick Kempf, is a drafted netminder, which I think gives him another type of advantage, another alum of the NTDP, because, I mean, there are loads of those. They're absolutely everywhere. But yeah, Nick Kempf is, I think, the favorite for quite a few people to play this role. But I personally would probably put in Harrison Bediger. I find him a bit more reliable. I think he's a bit more skilled in net as well. Nick Kempf is currently the starting goaltender for Notre Dame in the NCAA, and he has a .902 save percentage through 14 games. He played 13 games for the program last year, and they were not good. I mean, has to be said with the numbers that there's an asterisk that Notre Dame has been struggling recently. They were 2-10 in his starts last season when he put up an .895 save percentage, and this year they are 4-9-1, which is not much better. But Harrison Bediger has the advantage of currently playing on a much more winning team, put it that way, with the Kelowna Rockets. Not the best team in the WHL, but still has a 6-2-2 record and a .926 save percentage this season. And Bediger is 6'3", 194 pounds. He moves really well. Again, he's eligible for this year's draft class, which might be a point against him, but I think that he's a player that I would personally trust the most with these duties. And last but not least, there's also Cam Hendrickson, who I think is worth a mention. He would be probably a contender to start at this tournament, were it not for a bit of a struggle in adapting to the NCAA here so far this season. He's only played 2 games with the University of Connecticut, but last season put up some excellent numbers in goal for the Omaha Lancers, and also played okay for the Waterloo Blackhawks after a trade. But I think that Cam Hendrickson would be an interesting option, but maybe just hasn't quite shown enough right now to earn that role. So it's probably between Harrison Bediger and Nick Kempf. So yeah, that's the look in net. I'd probably give it like a B- or C+ grade for goaltending. It's not like it's going to kill you at the tournament in all likelihood, but it's probably not going to win you games either. And compare that to net minus from other teams, there may be a little bit of a gap there. But let's move on to the extras, the forwards and the defensemen, who did not crack the top 4 lines, the top 3 pairings, but I do think will be brought to the tournament. And for the forwards, we've got Cullen Potter, who, if he'd had a hotter start to the season, could be contending for a top 9 role on this team. Has had a bit of a slower start to the campaign with Arizona State University, but is incredibly skilled, an absolutely elite level skater, and brings a whole bunch of dynamism to the equation. So if you want to have a player that is an extra, but in case of injury can fill in the top 6, or if you just need a boost in a game when you're trailing, you can put in any situation to really create something out of nothing. I think Cullen Potter would be a great player to bring, and I guess AJ Spellacy. If I plugged in LJ Mooney on the 4th line, I'm probably bringing AJ Spellacy as an extra there, just to have another 4th line banger checking forward to just do a lot of that dirty work for the team. But JP Hurlburt is certainly going to be contending. He leads the entire WHL in scoring at the moment, as a rookie in the CHL after playing with the U17 NTDP last campaign. But yeah, I think right now I'd probably give the benefit to Potter and Spellacy, but maybe the brass of hockey of USA Hockey disagree with me and do take JP Hurlburt. I think that would be very interesting. But again, there is quite a bit of talent down the depth chart for the Americans. But to wrap things up, we've got the extra defenseman, the 4th pairing. And I'm going to go with Dakota Rayo Mullen as the first of these two. The draft plus one left shot defenseman who went undrafted last year, deserved to be picked. I would have picked him. He's a strong skater, is able to create things offensively. And really bring a sound two-way game in all three zones. And he went undrafted. And then this season so far, he's, I believe, he's second in U20 defense scoring in college hockey behind Cole Hutson. And I think that having a guy like Mullen who can skate, move the puck, create offensively down the depth chart offers you just a lot of flexibility, again, in case of injuries or if you want to mix things up. And to play with him, I'm going to put in Chase Reed, the draft eligible, who brings a good frame at 6'3" moves fantastically. He's a wonderful skater to watch. He's responsible. He's intelligent, flashes creativity and playmaking, can really play a versatile role. But if USA Hockey wants to bring maybe a guy who has a bit more experience under his belt and is a bit more of a specialist for a bottom pair shutdown role, Jacob Romback is also an option to bring to this tournament. I think he'd be a wonderful fit for this team, but I'm going with Rayo Mullen and Chase Reed here for the time being. But I'm very curious to see how this lineup does end up turning out, what the roster ends up being confirmed as, because to a lesser extent than Team Canada, but there is just such a breadth of talent here in the American pool. And there's so many different combinations that the brass could put together for this tournament. And let me know down below in the comments, if you're watching on YouTube, what would you do? Who would you pick? Who would you not bring to the tournament? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're listening on your favorite podcasting platform, please do make sure to make us your first listen of the day. It's always greatly appreciated. And for your second listen, then head on over to Locked On Fantasy Hockey, where Flip and Steel break down everything that you need to know to build yourself a competitive and sustainable fantasy roster. That's it here for me today. Thank you so much for tuning in as always, and I'll catch you listening again very, very soon.